The curfew in downtown LA is now in full effect. Protesters forcibly moved by the authorities as the unrest has escalated across other cities now. Let's go live to Pete Stefanovic. Pete, you're in downtown LA. We've seen these images from San Antonio, Texas, New York. This thing is reverberating across the United States. But what is the situation in the city that kicked it off in LA right now?
Yeah, things got heated, certainly, when we were talking about an hour, maybe a bit more ago, Kieran, and it's now culminating in the arrest of about 20 protesters who are behind me at the moment. So they've already been told that they're going to be arrested. A police officer had the loudspeaker up a short time ago and said, you are going to be arrested. The curfew hadn't been in place when they were arrested. So they're being arrested for another reason. I'm not entirely sure what that is, but now we're into the curfew period. Does that relate to it? We'll find out later on. But so there are a couple of hundred police officers in this particular part circling that group of protesters, which is an interesting sight in and of itself, and a lot of cameras down here too. But that's happening over here in front of Town Hall. Which is where we've been reporting for the last couple of hours. And then over on the other side of where we are at the moment, there is another portion of protesters too. The whole place has been sectioned off significantly by the police force. So there's another group of protesters near where the camera's being pointed now that's back to me. So those protesters have been sectioned off, and that'll be the end of it for now. But yeah, it's interesting that this is happening here in LA, California. They did say that there was going to be protests today, and they certainly did happen. Backing up things for a few hours, there was quite a huge march through the city streets of downtown LA. I've never been part of something like that before. And it just gained momentum and gained a bigger following until police started moving on them when they were outside Town Hall, and we're getting to the point where we are now. So, I mean, there were probably thousands of people in that march. There's only 20 people here, so a lot of them scrammed. But for those who stuck behind, this is what they're going to have to deal with now, Kieran.
Pete, we've heard the tensions clearly between Trump and the Governor of California, Gavin Newsom. A lot of talk about Newsom, as a presidential audition in a way, or the start of his campaign for 2028. A lot of people saying that in the context of the way that he released that speech to California and to the nation. That to one side, how have you read the way that the authorities between state and national and federal have cooperated? Because obviously, when you've got jurisdictions, you've got the LAPD, you can see them behind you in large number. There's no shortage of them standing right behind you there in downtown LA. You've got that on the one hand. Then you've got the National Guard, you've got the Marines. I just wonder, have you got a sense of how those various jurisdictions and levels of authority are playing out? We know how the political challenge is being felt and the tensions run up against each other in a political sense. What about in the operational sense?
I think it's gone pretty well, to be honest with you. I mean, since I've been here, I haven't really seen much of the National Guard. I mean, there have been members down near that detention centre, which, as I've been explaining, has been the focus of these protests for the last 5 or 6 days now. They were down there a little bit earlier, and there wasn't much action from the Los Angeles Police Department. And that all kind of changed a couple of hours ago when clearly there was a directive to move the protesters on, who had basically shut down the downtown streets by that erratic march that was just kind of going every which way and didn't really have much of a direction, but it was backing up traffic big time. And so they clearly had enough of that. I mean, and so in that sense, there was complete coordination between the two. As for the Marines, I haven't seen them at all. We know that they are in California because they've come from 29 Palms in Southern California, so they are here. But according to the authorities, and I'm just going to keep talking because this looks like these arrests are about to happen or about to start to. So back to the Marines. that they are on standby to be used if needed. Whether that happens or not, we don't know, because they're being trained. They don't have the authority to arrest. They have the authority to detain and then hand over to the local authorities. But right now, it just seems as though the LAPD is just doing its job on its own, which is interesting, Kieran, because that's what the Mayor Karen Bass had said, and to an extent, the Governor Newsom said this the other day. Look, we've got our own authorities here who could be doing it. There's no need for the National Guard. There's no need for Marines. But then the argument from Trump is, as you know, well, look at things. There's no control. We've got to come in over the top. And just getting back to your point there, I mean, Trump's really, you know, he would feel like he's got a mandate, a big picture now. He'd got a mandate for this because he campaigned on immigration. But then you've got Newsom, who I think is clearly getting ready for a run, because his second term expires next year. He's 58, he's young, he's hitching his mast to this, and I think the danger for him could well be, though, that, you know, we're getting political now, but in 3 years from now, the Republicans will link him to the burning pictures of LA.
It absolutely looked like an effort to launch a bit of national awareness of not just himself, but the push against Trump and his approach on these matters. And I wonder what else is happening on the Democrat side of politics. But as we look at these images now, I'll let you go in a second. We'll stay in touch, Pete. But just to briefly wrap up, if we look at these individuals being arrested, it looks like it's happening very much with their cooperation. No one's resisting arrest right now. It's almost a peaceful concession and peaceful protest.
I think that's a really good way of putting it. It's a peaceful concession, and the protests were relatively peaceful all afternoon until things kicked up a gear 2 hours ago. But look, they're accepting things. 20-odd protesters here who will be taken away shortly. And you know, when we were talking this time last night, Kieran, the curfew had come into place, and you know, there was a bit of argy-bargy and things went quiet for a while, and then it ramped up at about 10 o'clock last night, where police then decided to move on some remaining protesters. So how that might change things this evening, it could well be different. It could be a little bit quieter tonight, but you never know.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you think about the Latino members of the LAPD and family members they might have. It's all a complex web. We appreciate it. Pete, I'll chat to you later this hour. Thanks for that.